Yo, what is up YouTube? This is SS99 here. I'm coming at you guys with another deck profile, and today I'll be talking about Bujins. This deck has been doing fairly well since the new year started, and they just keep getting more and more support, and yeah, they're just crazy. So I thought I had a little fun with Bujins, and turns out I like them. So yeah, I'm definitely getting this deck. But yeah, let's go ahead and take a look at it. Bujins can be run in many different ways. Like there's a Decree Coliseum build, and plus there's different people who do different things with the little Bujingis. But let's just talk about this build. So anyway, I ran 3 Yamatos, 2 Mikazuchis, 2 Hirumes, 1 Arasuda, 3 Crane, 1 Honest, 2 Hare, 2 Turtles, 1 Quillin, and 1 Brotherhood of the Fire-Fisted Bear. And that's it for the monsters. Now for the spells, I run 2 Forbidden Lance, 2 MSTs, 3 Pot of Dualities, 3 Tinkies, 2 Bujin Incarnations, 1 Book of Moon, and 1 Kaiser Coliseum. And for the traps, I run 2 Vanity's Emptiness, 2 Fiendish Chain, and Sol Morning, Compulse, Bottomless, and Torrential. And that's the main deck. Now for the extra deck, I run 2 Suzunoos, 1 Kagasuchi, 1 Tsukiyomi, 1 Amaterasu, 1 Tiger King, 1 Paladino, or however you pronounce that, 1 Honor Arc, Maystroke, Heartland Draco, Direwolf, Exciton Knight, Lawful Foul Chain, Abyss Dweller, and Cowboy. Now for the side deck, I run 2 Maxi, an extra MST, because I always have to have 3 in the whole deck. 2 Overworked, 2 Blackhorn of Heaven, 2 Shadow Imprisoning Mirror, 2 Trap Stun, 2 Rivalries, and 2 Goes in a Match. And that is it for the Bujin deck. Now let's talk strategy. So, like I said, there's many different ways you can run this, but this is just what I personally prefer. But one thing that every Bujin deck has in common is they always run 3 Yamato. Yamato is really, really, really important in this deck. If you start off with Yamato, you have a strong start already, or if you start off with a Tinky. I'm going to go ahead and talk about Tinky since we're on that topic. Tinky is used for a few things, mainly to search for Yamato if you start off, but you can search it if you've already used Yamato enough, you think, then you can search for a Mikazuchi, Hirume, or a Narasuda. But another thing that can be used for is Bear. If you don't start off with Tinky or Yamato, but you start off with Bear, you can try to do some damage to your opponent and then set Tinky to get Yamato. It's one thing it can be used for. Or his effect is you can send 1 Fire Formation spell from your field to the graveyard to destroy 1 monster on the field. So you can use his effect so you can save Quillin. Mikazuchi, he's mainly here just to search for the Bujin Incarnations. Bujin Incarnation can actually be used quite a bit in this deck, especially if you run Hirume. Hirume, you banish a Bujin in your graveyard to special summon her. Typically, you don't want to banish, obviously, you don't want to banish Quillin, Turtle, or Hare to special summon her because these have to be in your graveyard to protect your Bujins. So, basically, if you have Yamato or Mikazuchi, Arasuda, or Crane in the graveyard, you can just banish them to special summon her unless you're really, really desperate to get a monster out in the field. Arasuda is just there for the extra, the extra Bujin. Whenever a Bujin is banished, you can special summon him from your hand, or you can still normal summon him. Either way works. And he's got a decent effect too. Like, they all have decent effects. Yamato allows you to put a Bujin in your hand and then discard a card, so you can discard the Bujin you put in your hand, or if you have like a Hare in your hand, you can add a Crane to your hand and discard the Hare. Mikazuchi, if you discarded a Bujin, I think that's what it is. Yes, it says if a Bujin was sent from your hand to the graveyard, while you control this card, then you can search for a Bujin spell or trap, which is where you get Bujin Incarnation, just to thin out the deck. And Hirume, if this card is destroyed by your opponent's card effect or battle, and sent from your side of the field to the graveyard, both players must discard a card from your hand. And Arasuda, same thing, only difference is you draw a card and then discard a card. So they're all really good. But the only downside is that you can only control one of each at a time. So, I mean, otherwise Bujins would be way too good. So it's probably a good thing they put that effect in there. Crane is the Bujin Honest on Crack. You discard it, and a Bujin Beast Warrior you control gets double the attack, which is insane. You have 3 of those plus Honest, so this deck has trapped. What's it called? Hand Trap. There we go. Hand Trap galore. And as for hair prevents destruction. So, but you don't want to run too many of the graveyard ones because you mainly want to go for attack in this deck. But Bujin hair helps them from being destroyed by Mirror Force, Torrential, etc. And Turtle helps in many different ways, like targeting. So if someone tries to big guy you can banish Turtle and negate the effect. Really, really good. And Quillen, I only run one because, well, more than one's dead, in my opinion. But if you control Bujin Beast Warrior, you can banish this to destroy a card on the field. And yeah, that's pretty much all the Bujins. And I've already talked about Bear. I prefer Forbidden Lance in the main deck, personally, because it just saves you some Bujins in some ways. So, yeah, I mean, I do run Trap Stun in the side deck, as you guys know, but I'll explain about that. And the only reason why I ran 2 MSTs is because I prefer, I really wanted to run 3 Posse Dualities. Reason why is because you want to search for Yamato or a Tinky to get Yamato, or Bear to do damage to get Tinky to get Yamato. So basically it's just there for the search. I prefer that over Upstart because you got to dig through that deck, in my opinion. So yeah, that's pretty much the reason why. Now, Bujin Incarnation is really good. I mean, the only downside is that you have to control no monsters while your opponent does control a monster. But basically, you can special summon a Bujin in your graveyard and one that's banished. So that's an instant XC summon right there. I don't run Dark Hole in this deck, just because I wanted to save some space. So, don't judge me. This is just my personal preference. But Book of Moon is just there because it's a spell trap card, as I like to call it, a spell trap card. And I like to run 1 Kaiser Coliseum. I think Kaiser Coliseum is good in this deck, but I don't think it's too necessary in my build. So I think 1 Kaiser Coliseum is good enough. I also run 2 Vanity's Emptiness. Vanity's Emptiness is really, really good in this deck because you don't do too much special summoning in this deck. You mainly do like normal summoning, Bujins and whatnot. The only time you ever special summon is either with these effects, or the effects of these Bujins, or if you XC summon. So not a lot of special summoning to do, and plus it slows many decks today. Fiendish Chain, I prefer this over Breakthrough Skill because Fiendish Chain negates the effect permanently, where Breakthrough Skill doesn't negate permanently. Plus it's kind of limited, so again, personal preference. I like Fiendish Chain, and these are staple, so I don't really have to explain those too much. Alright, now for the extra deck, well, I don't think I need to talk about these too much. Susanoo, you detach a material to add it to select a Bujin from your deck and either add it to your hand or discard to the graveyard. So he's mainly like another Yamato. And with that being said, you don't have to have Yamato to win. He only takes 2 level 4 Bujins, and that's pretty much all your monsters except Honest and Bear. So Susanoo can also help you get set up too. You don't have to have Yamato to win, but Yamato is a lot better. Kagasuchi is also really good. If a Bujin Beast Warrior type monster would be destroyed by battle or card effect, you can detach an Xyz material instead. So it's like another walking hare. Really, really good. Tsukiyomi is there to help get rid of dead hands. Really good. You discard your hand and draw 2. So if you have hare and turtle in your hand, you can detach a material from this guy, and then they're in the graveyard and you get 2 extra cards. Amaterasu, that's how you pronounce it. I very rarely go into him, but when you do go into him, he is really, really good. Like, during your turn, if you detach an Xyz material, you can target a banished Bujin, or banished level 4 or lower monster and special summon it. But if it's your opponent's turn, you can add it to your hand. So he can be good in many different decks because he only takes 3 level 4 monsters. It doesn't really specify about Bujins or lights, so he can be used in any deck, which is really, really good. Now, the reason why I run Tiger King is simply because if I have these guys and I don't have a Yamato, I can just use him, Xyz summon him, and grab a Tinky, activate Tinky, and grab Yamato. And plus, he's a walking skill drain, so really good card. This card's really good. It's pretty much staple in a light deck. Everything else in this build is pretty much just staple. I don't really have to explain them too much. Side deck, once again, is always personal preference, but I'll tell you the reason why. Maxi, I always run Maxi, except for Medulches. They're in the main deck. I always have to have 3 MSTs in the deck, so I decided to put the 3rd one in the side deck just in case I were to go up against Bujin, or not Bujins, but Fire Fists or anything. That way I can MST their Tinky before they get their search off. Overworked. I know Overworked's probably not the best thing to put in this deck, but it does work against Harpies and everything. And plus, you have Hair to prevent destruction too. Black Horn of Heaven is for Girgas, mainly because they do a lot of special summoning. And Medulches. Shadow Imprisoning Mirror, this is one of those cards where I just put it in there because I didn't know what else to put in there. But that's mainly for like Evil Swarms and Dark Worlds and stuff like that. And Trap Stun. This is a lifesaver in many different ways. Once again, saves you some Bujins. So if there's any cards in here that you don't need for the matchup, like maybe Kaiser Coliseum, just replace it with a Trap Stun. And you have like pretty much 4 Forbidden Lances. Really good. Rivalry and Goes and Match. Well, basically in this deck you run mainly Beast Warriors. I mean, there are a few beasts in there, but you want them to be in a graveyard or your hand. And Goes and Match, it's all light except for Bear. But Bear is not too relevant in this deck. He's just there for support. So that's pretty much the deck, guys. Thank you for watching. I'll have another video posted soon, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.